Hello everyone and welcome to this Pytest tutorial series. This is our first tutorial, and in this tutorial we will be learning what is Pytest, how we can install and set up a Pytest project. So let's begin. Pytest is one of the most popular testing frameworks for the Python, and Pytest is known for its simplicity, scalability and powerful features. And Pytest is widely used for writing the simple unit tests as well as the complex functional and integration tests. Now let's discuss about some key features of this Pytest framework. So the syntax is really simple, which means that you will be writing your test as a regular Python functions. Then there is no need to inherit any specific class. Then there is a feature for the automatic discovery of your test files and function. And how it works is that your test files should start with the test keyword followed by underscore, or at the end with the underscore dash test. Similarly, your test function should start with the keyword test followed by the underscore. Then there's a feature of parameterizations, which means that you can run your single test with a multiple set of data. Then there's another feature which is known as fixtures. So fixtures are used for the setup and teardown of your scripts. For example, you want to set up your browser, you want to close your browser. So these kind of things can be done using the fixtures. Then there are detailed assertions. There are so many assertions available so that we can test our application properly. Now the question is that why we need this Pytest? The reason is that the features like automatic discovery of tests, parameterization, fixtures, the things which are specific to the testing are not good in the Selenium. We need something robust in terms of the automation testing. Okay, now let's go to the PyCharm. Let's go to my desktop over here and let's set up our project. So let me open the PyCharm over here, and what we will do is that we will install and set up a project for the Pytest, and simply we will go here and click on new project, and I will name my project as Pytest tutorial and click create. So it will create our project and it's creating the virtual environment for it. Now let's go to the browser and search for the Pytest. So simply type Pytest, and this is the official link. Just click on Pytest documentation, and here click on get started, and here simply what we need to do is that we need to run this pip install -u pytest. So this means that Python should be installed on your system. So what you need to do is that simply, if it is not installed, simply go and download Python. So I'm using Windows, so simply go to this link, download this one and install this one. And after the installation, what you need to do is that simply go here, open the command prompt, and here what you need to do is that type python -version. So it should display the Python version. If this version hasn't been displayed, this means that your Python is not installed properly. You need to install it properly. Okay, now what you need to do is that simply copy this command from here and go to this project, open the terminal and paste it over here and press enter. Now it will install the Pytest in your project. So you see that it's installing this one and it's successfully installed. Now how we can verify that the Pytest has been successfully installed or not? So what you need to do, you need to copy this command pytest-version and go back here and paste this one here and press enter. So you see that the Pytest version has been displayed, which means that the Pytest has been installed successfully. Now let's go back to this website. So you will find different explanation, how to guides, references. You see how to use the fixtures, how to invoke the Pytest, how to mark the test function with the attributes, how to parameterize. So we will see all these features in our upcoming tutorials, and right now we will simply go here and just click on this examples and customization tricks. So click on this get started. So here you see some basic tests. So basically, as we just learned that we'll be writing our test in the format of the simple function. So this is a simple Python functions, right? And as we learn that there's an automatic discovery of the test files and the function. So you see that the name of the file is test_sample.py, and you can also see that the name of this test function will start with the test underscore and then name of the function. So by using this pattern, the Pytest will automatically detect your test file and the test functions. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. If you like our content, then do like, comment, share and subscribe our channel. Once again, thank you so much and see you in the next tutorial. Hello everyone and welcome to this Pytest series, and this is our second tutorial, and in this tutorial we will be starting with the Pytest and we'll be writing our first test. So let's begin. In our previous tutorial we learned that how we can install and set up the Pytest. So already the Python is open. So what I will do is that simply I will go here and create one new directory over here, and I will say Pytest tutorial series, and inside this I will be creating one new file. So when you're naming this file, you need to recall the thing which we learned, that we need to use a prefix of test. So before that, what I will do is that let's go to the browser over here, and when you are on the website of Pytest, simply what you need to do is that you need to scroll down here and go to this auto discovery, and here you will see that in those directions search for test underscore static, or at the end of the file you need to use this one. Okay, so I will follow this pattern over here and simply go here, and I will name the file with test underscore, I will say this example. Okay, and now what I will do is that I will be creating one function. So that function will actually tell us that either the number is even or odd. Okay, and I will also show you that when we will be writing the test function, how they look different from the actual functions. Okay, so simply first write a function is even slash or underscore odd, and I will pass an argument here, and if I say if number mod 2 is equals to 0, then this means that it should return even. Okay, return, but it should return even. Else what it should do, it should simply return odd. Okay, it will simply return odd. So this is a very basic function, and now what we need to do is that we need to test this function. Okay, and now when I will be writing a functions, because in Pytest we will also be writing a functions. Okay, so how those functions are different, and those functions are actually different by providing that prefix of the test. Okay, so simply let's write our first test. So I'll say left and say test underscore even underscore number, and here let's go with simply a print statement here, and I will say result is equals to is even or odd function, and let's suppose provide 4. Okay, and I'm not asserting. I will show one example over here with the assertion as well, but simply go here with the print statement, and here I will say okay, using f strings, what I'll do simply I will say test for 4, and here in the curly braces I will be passing that result. Okay, now you see that I get this play button, and this is because of the Pytest. It's automatically recognizing that because this is our class starting with the test underscore this is our file starting with the test underscore prefix. Okay, and inside this one we have this function which is also starting with the test underscore. Okay, that's why it is recognizing as a test. So if I change this one, for example, I write something else, so you see that this particular button has been removed because now it is no more considering this function as a test function. Okay, now in order to run this one, simply what we need to do is that we need to go to this terminal and simply type pytest. So what this command will do is that it will go to your project, it will go to all test underscore files, and inside those files it will find the functions starting with the test underscore prefix. Okay, so if I press enter, so you see that one test got executed and it says one pass, and we are getting some information over here. Now let me copy this one and paste it here. Now what I'll do is that I will say, for example, test odd number. Okay, and let's provide some odd number over here. Okay, and simply now this time you will see that it will say that there are 2 test cases. Okay, so 2 passed, and this is the time, and there are 2 items picked, okay, from this particular root directory. Now let me again copy this one and paste it here. Now, but in actual what happens is that we are asserting the values. We need to verify, we need to test. So in order to test your functionality, there is a command or there is a keyword which is known as assert. And so this assert is used to assert or verify the values or data, okay, for the verification purposes. Okay, so let's go with this proper one. I will say test large underscore even number. Okay, and what I will set is even or odd, and here let's give a large value. Okay, now instead of this print statement, what I'll do is that now let's do a proper testing, do some assertion. So simply using this assert, we'll say assert result is equals to, so what it should be equals to, it should be equals to the even, because the above number is the even. So I will say is equals to even. If this is not the case, so I need to print some message. Okay, so I will say, okay, this number, let me copy this one, should be even. Now let's run this one and see what happens. So this time you see that there are 3 items and the assertion is passed because this is an even number. And if I say here odd, okay, so what happens is that it should fail. Okay, so return odd. So let me copy this one and paste it over here, and now let's run this one. So this time you see that our test got failed. Let me scroll this up, and here you see that this is not equals to odd, and expected odd, and actually we got even. So that's how we can test the functionality even if we are automating with the Selenium. So you can assert in the same way. You will be writing your test function to verify the functionality of your application. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. If you like our content, then do like, comment, share and subscribe our channel. Once again, thank you so much and see you in the next tutorial. Hello everyone and welcome to this Pytest tutorial series. In this tutorial, we will be learning different ways to execute your tests. So let's begin. In our previous tutorial, we learned that how to write our test and we executed our test as well. Now let's see the different ways. For that, what I will do is that let me copy this file and paste it over here and let me name it as example_second and click OK. And let me change the name over here even1, then this odd1, then 1. I'm just changing the names for the functions over here, and this one. Okay, now what I will do is that if I go here to the terminal, if I type this Pytest, now see what happens. So it will pick everything, and here you see that we are getting some failures over here because we got assertion failed, because this assertion is getting failed. Okay, so if I go with even and if I run this now, let's see what happens. Okay, so run Pytest. Still this is failing because of this particular test, the first one, and let's go with even, and now run this one and see. So this time you see that both files got picked from here and every function with the test keyword or the prefix got executed. Okay, now here there are two files. Now suppose that you want to execute only one file. For example, I want to execute this test_example. Okay, so how I will do this? Simply what I will do is that I will say pytest and name or the path of the file. Okay, so we are already inside this one. This dot, and it should be Pytest tutorial series. This is a folder, and inside that we have this test_example. Now if I run this one, it will only execute the 3 test cases and it will execute this particular file. Okay, so you see that this particular file got executed and it executed 3 tests. So that's how you can execute the particular files using the command line. Now what if you want to run a specific test, because here in this particular file we have 3 tests, right? This one, this one, and this one. And if you want to run a specific test from this file, then how you can run this one? So simply what you can do is that you will type pytest, okay, and so you need to traverse to that file, okay, then you need to type : and now you need to tell the name of the function you want to execute. For example, I want to execute this last function, which is test_large even_number. Okay, simply press enter. So you see that it collected 1 item and 1 test got passed. Okay, so in this way you can actually execute the particular test. So let me change this to odd so that we can see the assertion failure over here. So you see that this particular test got executed, assertion error, assertion failed, and this is the only test which got executed. Okay, so now what you can also do is that you can run your test with some keywords. Okay, for example, let's go here and I want to run the test with a keyword called even. Okay, so I'll say pytest-k means using the keyword, and the keyword, for example, I say even. Okay, even. Now let's run this one. So it will pick all the test cases having this particular keyword. So collected 6 items, 2 got deselected. Okay, now why these 2 got deselected? Because this particular function does not have the even word. Even same goes for here. So that's why from 6 it only picked 4 and 2 got deselected and executed those particular tests having this particular keyword. Okay, and right now if you need to have more information here in the terminal, what you can do, you can simply say, let me run all the tests. So pytest-v means verbose, and let me run the file. Let's run the single file. Okay, and here -v and run this particular file. So here now we are getting more information like the percentage of execution, pass, or fail. So here we are seeing the complete details of the execution of the test functions, right? Previously we were not getting this information over here. Okay, so now we are getting more information over here. Okay, and now let's fail this one, and let me fail this one and see what information we get over here. Okay, now run the same command, and this time it's getting passed. Let's see what happened over here. And okay, so basically we have changed in this test example file. We have to change this file because we are executing this particular file. Okay, now let's run this one, and you see that we got 1 fail and 2 pass assertion details. Okay, this pass fails, and this particular fail, so when it reached, it got failed over there. Okay, so using the verbose, you will be getting the more details when you are executing your test. Now if you want to run the test cases which got failed in the previous execution, so you can only execute those tests which got failed. So how you can run this one? Simply you have to type pytest and --last failed. Okay, and press enter. So it only executed this particular test which got failed. Rerun the previous one failure, right? So it's run the last failure only. Okay, now you can also stop after the first failure. So there are multiple failures. If you want to stop the execution, if you want to stop this one, so simply what you can do is that simply you say pytest-x, and let me go here, instead of v just type x and run this one. Okay, so basically you might not be seeing a much difference over here, but it will make a difference when you are dealing with the multiple tests, when you are multiple files where you want to stop. Basically you want to stop the test run after the first failure. So in that case you can go with this one. Okay, thank you so much for watching this tutorial. If you like our content, then do like, comment, share and subscribe our channel. Once again, thank you so much, and see you in the next tutorial. Hello everyone, and welcome to this Pytest tutorial series. In this tutorial we will learn how to group the tests using the markers. So let's begin. In Pytest, the markers are really helpful in organizing and executing a selective test cases. They allow us to label the test case with the specific names, which enables us to group, categorize and run the particular set of tests. Now the question here is that why we need to group the tests. So when you are executing your automation scripts, you don't need to run every test case every time. In some cases, when you get the new build, you might need to execute some sanity. You might need to execute some specific tests which are related to the smoke. In some cases, you might need to run the regression. So every time you don't need to execute each and everything. So using the markers, what you can do is that you can execute only specific set of test cases. Either it can be smoke, regression and so on. Now when we talk about the markers in Pytest, these are just labels or tags. So let me give you a real-time example. You go to a very big supermarket, and in that particular supermarket, you see that they have labeled everything. They have labeled the sections, they have labeled the products, they have labeled the prices. So as a customer, you walk in and you exactly find the place where you want to go, and you can easily find a product. Similarly, the labels and tags work in the Pytest. They identify the specific test cases having that particular label or tag. It will pick those test cases, group those test cases, and execute those test cases. Now, when we talk about the Pytest markers, so they are custom markers and they are built-in markers. So right now we will be talking about the custom markers only, and in our upcoming tutorial we will be talking about the built-in markers. So when we talk about the markers, the syntax is really simple. So for example, this is our test over here. So what you need to do is that you need to use @ okay, and then you need to type pytest and then dot, then mark, okay, and then the name of the marker. But here you see that you can parameterize your test, you can skip your test, you can use the fixture. We haven't learned about the fixture, but we will be covering those topics in our upcoming tutorials. Okay, right now, if you want to create or use the custom, just provide the name over here. Okay, so it will group the test into the categories. It will help to running the specific group of tests, managing test rules efficiently in the larger projects. So this is the benefits of using the markers when you're grouping the test. Now, for example, your manager wants you to run the smoke test case. Okay, so your marker is ready. This is a custom one. Okay, so let me copy this one and let me paste it over here. Okay, now my two test case having a marker with the smoke. Now question is that how we can execute our test with the markers. Okay, the only thing is that here in the command line, what you need to do is that you need to type pytest-m, means you're executing a marker, and the marker here is smoke, and press enter. So here actually there is a problem with the spelling over here. So pytest, run this one. So it will, you see that it picked one failed, one passed, 4 deselected, and 2 warnings, and it's actually pick the test cases based on this mark. Okay, and here this particular test case is actually failing this VR. That's why we are getting the failure over here. If I make it pass now, if I run this one, this time you see that 2 test cases, because this one and this one is having a mark of smoke. So it picked up, grouped those test cases, and executed this test. Now similarly, what I'll do is that let me go to the second file and let me go here, and what I do is that instead of smoke, let's go with the regression. Okay, and what I'll do is that here, instead of failing this one, let's pass this one. And now what we need to do is say some error over here. So we need to import the pytest and it will fix the problem. Okay, now let's run the regression test from here, and simply I will say regression and press enter, and you see that 1 test got picked, it got passed, 5 got deselected, and there are 3 warnings. Now what are these warnings all about? So basically, when we provided a custom marker over here, so actually Pytest doesn't know about it. So what we need to do is that we need to register our custom mark to avoid using these warnings. So this is not registered. Even the smoke or this regression mark is not registered. We will learn in our upcoming tutorials that how we can register our custom marker so that you shouldn't be seeing these warnings over here. Okay, now what you can also do is that when you're executing the marker, the custom markers over here, so you can also combine the markers. Okay, so by combining, what I mean is that I will say pytest dash m, and I'm combining the markers. I will say smoke or regression. So you see that I have 6 test cases. In some cases I have marked as smoke, in some cases I have marked as regression, but there are also the test cases on which I haven't marked anything, right? So I'm saying that pick up those test cases having the marker smoke or regression. So it will now pick both the test cases, group them and run those one. Okay, just press enter. So this time you see that 3 passed, 3 deselected, 3 warnings. Now why this happened? This is one regression test in this particular file, and in this particular file we have 2 smoke test cases. And also what you can do is that we can go with the negating command as well. So negating commanding means that I will say pytest dash m, and I'll say here smoke and not regression. Okay, so it will pick only the smoke test cases and it will ignore the test cases having the regression mark. Similarly, you can mark the test cases for maybe the performance, for the API. You can mark that these test cases are related to this specific functionality to group the test cases, and this will really helpful to execute that certain test cases which are required when you're actually testing your application using the scripts. Okay, thank you so much for watching this tutorial. If you like our content, then do like, comment, share and subscribe our channel. Once again, thank you so much and see you in the next tutorial. Hello everyone and welcome to Pytest tutorial series. In this particular tutorial, we will be learning the difference between skip and if skip markers. So let's begin. Pytest allows us to control the execution of the test using the markers like skip and if skip. These markers help to manage the scenarios where the certain test should not run under the specific conditions. So there are 2 markers, one is skip and other is if skip. Now first let's discuss about the skip marker. So the skip marker is used to skip a test unconditionally. This means that there is no condition. You don't need to provide any condition. You just want to skip based on any reason. So it is helpful when you know beforehand that a particular test is irrelevant or incomplete and should not run. Okay, so how you can define that one? So simply go here and type pytest dot mark dot skip, and here you can simply provide the reason for the skip. For example, I say reason is equals to functionality not developed or is incomplete. Okay, so what happens is that when I run this one, it will skip this particular test. Okay, so we have made the changes in this test underscore example. Okay, and let's run this one here, and simply I will be running this test underscore example, and let's go with verbose over here and press enter. So what happens here is that you see that one is skipped, right? And here it says that some warnings we will look into that because we need to register this one as well. But here you see that this particular test got skipped because the functionality is not developed. And by providing the reason, it is very much clear that why this test got skipped during the particular testing execution. Okay, now when we talk about the if skip, so this is basically based on the condition. So when the condition is met, then in that particular case, this test will not get executed. Okay, so how we can define this one? So simply let me change this one from here and simply dot SkipIf. Okay, and here the first thing is that we need to provide a condition here. Okay, and what I'll do is that I will say, for example, let me go here and let me create a one variable. So I'll say feature underscore available equals to false. Okay, and here inside this one, what I will say that first I need to provide condition not feature underscore available. Okay, so if this is not, this means this is not available. Okay, based on this condition, then I will say, okay, my reason is equals to, I will say feature not available. Okay, so feature not available. Okay, and now if I run this one, now this is a conditional one, right? So if I go here and run this one, so again you see that the one got skipped over here, and again, but this is conditional. So here you need to provide a condition. Sometimes you need to execute your Selenium scripts on the specific browser version. You need to check that either the latest version of Chrome is available in order to execute your test. In some cases, you want to check the operating system. For example, you only want to execute your test on the Windows or the Linux, right? Maybe in some cases, there's a condition that a particular test should be executed before this one. If that particular test does not get executed, this particular test should not get executed, right? So there are so many scenarios in the automation testing where you need to use this SkipIf and skip, right? And when we talk about the key differences between them, so I will categorize into the different areas like condition. So skip is always skip the test. There's no condition for this one, right? If skip or SkipIf is basically skip the test based on a condition. Then the syntax. In the syntax, we need to provide a condition for SkipIf and the reason. Whereas for the skip, we just need to provide a reason for this one. Okay. And use case for these one is that when we talk about the skip, so basically when the test should never run, when we know that, okay, this should not run. But if skip or the SkipIf is used when there's some condition, okay, skipping depends on a runtime check. On the runtime, it will go and check this condition. If that condition meets, it will run that particular test case, as it will not execute that test. Okay. So what also you can do is that you can combine both skip and SkipIf. Okay. So what I can do is that, for example, I will write. So this means that combining means that my one test case is a skip. The other is basically a SkipIf. So this is a SkipIf, and if I go here and let me go here and scroll down, and here what I'll say simply pytest dot mark dot we have skip, right? So now in this particular file we have three test cases. One is marked as SkipIf and other is marked as a skip over here. Okay, so simply I will provide a reason over here. Reason equals to functionality is partially developed. Okay, and now let's run this one and see what happens. So you see that one passed, two is skipped, right? And if I go over here, you will see that this is skipped, and why this is skipped, both the reasons are mentioned over here, right? So here in our previous tutorial, when we are executing the markers, we are seeing some warnings or some messages over here, and the reason is that if we are using a custom marker, then we need to register those ones. So in our previous tutorial, where we have categorized our test for the smoke or the regression, so basically those were the custom markers, right? So for those, we need to make them registered so that Pytest should recognize them as a marker. But SkipIf and skip is basically a built-in marker, right? So let me conclude this tutorial. So basically skip and SkipIf markers are essential tools in the Pytest for controlling the execution of the test case. use skip for the unconditional skips, and use SkipIf for the dynamically condition based. So if they will meet some condition, then that in that particular case, that particular test will not be executed. So this will actually ensure that your test tools is efficient and adaptable to different testing environments. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. If you like our content, then do like, comment, share and subscribe our channel. Once again, thank you so much and see you in the next tutorial. Hello everyone and welcome to this Pytest tutorial series. In this tutorial, we will learn to parameterize our test using the Parameterized marker. So let's begin. In automation testing, you may come across with the different scenarios where you need to test the functionality with a different set of data. You might need to test the login with a different login user. You might to test the registration functionality with a different set of data. Similarly, you can test the different functionalities with a different set of data. So using this parameterized marker, you can parameterize your test and you can test the functionality with the different inputs. So let me go here into PyCharm and create a new Python file and let me name it as Parameterize. And in order to use this marker, so let me go to the previous example over here. So in order to use this one, we will be using this decorator. So basically pytest dot mark dot, you see that we have this parameterized marker, right? So using this one, we can provide the multiple set of data and test the functionality. Okay, so for this tutorial, what I will do is that I will simply create a basic add function and we will test that function with a different set of data. Okay, so let me remove this from here and let me go to this file. The first thing is that we need to import the pytest, import pytest, and now what I'll do is that I will create a very simple basic function which will add the number. So I will say that add underscore numbers, and it will take, for example, 2 arguments, and here it will return simply, this function will return a plus b. Okay, so in the real world, what we do is that in order to call this function, so what we will do is that we will simply call this function and say add numbers, and I will say 5 comma 10. Okay, and if I put this into a print statement, so it will print the output of this particular function. Right now what we are doing is that we are doing it a hard-coded testing, right? So let me run this one and you see that we get the 15 answer over here. But in order to test this with the multiple set of data, so we can use the parameterized marker and we can provide the different set of data and we can test this with the different set of data. Okay, so in order to do this, what I'll do is that I'll remove this one from here, and the first thing we need to do is that we need to set up a data. So I will say using the decorator, so pytest dot mark dot parameterize, and here, so basically what we need to do is that we need to provide the variables which we use. So we say a comma b, and I will also create one more here, so which will actually set the expected value. Okay, for the expected value, expected, and here what I'll do is that I will provide a data in the form of tuple. Okay, so I will say for test case, I will say here, okay, let's create a tuple over here. So I will be adding 1, 2, and my output is basically 3, right? And let me copy this one and create a different set of data over here. Okay, so let me paste it over here, paste it over here, and let me align this one, this data over here. Okay, and so let's go with like 4 add 5, it will be 9. Then we'll say 1 plus 5 is equals to 6, expected is 6, and we say like 3 comma maybe 7, which is 10. So expected is 10. So what we have done is that we have defined our data over here. So instead of single quotes, we need to provide the double quotes over here. Okay, now what we have done is that we have defined a list of tuples. So it contains our test data. Now what we need to do is that we need to utilize this data in the test function. So what I'll do is that now I will create our test function. So you know that we need to use a test keyword as a prefix, and I will say test add underscore numbers. Okay, and here it will take a comma b and comma expected. So, and in this one what I'll do is that I will provide, let's go with the simple assert over here, and I say add underscore numbers. So a comma b and the expected is basically equals to expected. So we are, because this function will add the values, and we have provided the values a, b and the expected in this marker. Okay, and now what we need to do is that we need to run this one. Okay, so simply what I'll do is that let me go here in the command prompt into the terminal and using this Pytest. So let me see. Yeah, so here I will change the file name and we'll be running with the verbose over here. So I will say slash, okay, and parameterize, and let's run this one. So you see that the execution got 4 times and the 4 are passed, and here you see that the first one is this one, the second one is this one, third one is this one, and fourth is this one, and 4 items collected because of this particular set of data. So if I go here and add one more over here, and let's change the values. Instead of this 7, let me do it 8 and make it 11. And if I go again here and run this one, so you will see that it will now pick up the 5. Okay, and all are passed. Now what happens if any one of this fail? So for example, if I fail the first data, then what happens? So if I go here and instead of 3, let's provide 5. Okay, and now let's run this one and see. So you see that after the first fail, okay, so only first got failed, rest is passed because it is a parameterized. It doesn't matter either it's the first one failed or last one failed. Okay, so if I go here and change it to 3, and now I change it to the last one as a which I need to fail. So we got all information, 1 failed and 4 passed over here. And even if I provide run this one again, so you will see that 1 fail and 4 pass. It doesn't matter which data got failed over here. It will execute for every set of data which you provided, and if there is a failure at the first data, or if the failure is in somewhere in the middle or the end, it doesn't matter. It will say okay, 1 is failed and the rest are passed over here. So basically that's how you can actually parameterize your test using the Pytest marker. So here this is basically a at Pytest means that it's a decorator, right? And using, because this at signs represents that it's a decorator. Now basically if I explain this code to you here, so basically what we did is that the A, B and expected are the name of the test parameters. Okay, then this particular data is basically a test data as a tuple. Okay, so this is a tuple, and then what we are doing is that this assert is basically verifies that the output of the matches as an expected value. So we are actually verifying that A plus B is equals to the expected value. So we have already provided the expected value over here. It's just comparing the output of that function, which will actually add the values, and is comparing with the expected value. So running test, we simply run the file with the verbose. We already know that how we can run the test with this different set of arguments. So if you haven't watched that video, you just go and check it out here. But that's how you can actually, parameterize your test using the test mark pytest.mark.parameterized. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. If you like our content, then do like, comment, share and subscribe our channel. Once again, thank you so much and see you in the next tutorial. Hello everyone and welcome to this Pytest tutorial series. In this particular tutorial, we will be learning about xfail marker in Pytest. So let's begin. Xfail marker in Pytest is used to indicate that a test is expected to fail. Now, this is particularly useful for the tests that are known to be failing due to any reason. It can be due to a bug or feature is not yet implemented. By marking a test as a xfail, we can explicitly mention that its failure is expected, and it will make our reports more informative. Now, why we need to use this marker? So basically, it makes it clear that failure is known and acceptable at this stage. Secondly, expected failures won't clutter your test reports as error. Now, when we talk about its syntax, so basically, we will be using in the same way like at pytest.mark.xfail. So let me show you here. So at pytest.mark.xfail. Okay, and here what you need to do is that you need to provide a reason. So when we talk about reason, it's a short explanation why this test is expected to fail. Then we have another argument known as strict. So a strict is having two values, either true or false. When we set it as a true, the test is considered failed if it is unexpectedly passes. False, which is a default, unexpectedly passing the test are not treated as failures. And the third thing is that we need to provide a condition. Okay, so let me go here and let me copy this particular code from here and let me create one new Python file, and I will name it as xfail marker and paste it over here. I don't need this thing from here, and instead of addition, let's go with the division here. So simply instead of this plus sign, I will go with the division of this one. Okay. And now let's, for example, when you're doing a division, you know that if you divide a number by 0, so it will throw an exception, right? So let me, remove this one completely, and f underscore test underscore divide underscore by underscore 0, and this will actually, let me go with simple assert. We are verifying that divide. Okay, and let me, instead of this one, so I will say it's divide. Okay, so I say divide 1, 0, so 1 divided by 0. Okay, and I'm saying that it will be equals to 0. Okay, now what I will do is that I know that it will be a fail. So what I will do is that on top of it, I will be using this xfail marker. So pytest.mark.xfail, and here I will be providing a reason and strict. Okay, so I will say reason is equals to, for example, we know that the division by 0 is not handled by the developer. For example, divide by 0 is not handled. Okay, and in this case I will go with the strict equals to strict strict equals to, I will go with the true. So I need with the strict checking for this one. Okay. So now what happens if I will run this one, because I haven't handled this exception over here, right? So let's run this current file, and you see that this collected one item, and here we got this information, divide by 0 is not handled, and we are getting the proper information. Okay, and in a similar way, if there's a known bug, and we can provide the condition and the reason. So what I'll do is that let me copy this one from here, and let me create one more test over here. And for example, I know that there is a bug for the subtraction. Okay, so for example, I will say test underscore sub underscore bug. I know that this is already a bug, and I'll say, for example, here I will say result is equals to 5 minus 3. Okay, and I will say assert result is equals to 1. And here you see that the 5 minus 3 should be 2, and I'm asserting that the result is equals to 1. So this is, I'm intentionally failing this one here, and what I'll do is that I will put the marker over here, and I will say pytest dot mark dot xfail. And in our previous example, I haven't given a condition, so let me give a condition over here. So condition is equals to true. Okay, so and reason, let's give a reason over here, and I will say reason is equals to I will say known bug. So the purpose of using the xfail is that when we know that this particular test will be failing due to any bug or due to any reason, so, and why we mark it as, because tomorrow if I run this one without marking it as xfail, it will mark as a failure in my test report, which will not give a true picture, right? So now let's run this one, and again it's, it provided all the details here, and here you see that assertion error, but it's not making it fail. It says x failed, right? So this is the purpose of using the x fail marker, because when you know that the test will be failing, right? So in this case you will be using the x fail. So always provide a reason. In terms of the best practice, always provide a reason why you are marking it as the x fail, because you need to showcase or reflect this thing in the report as well. And use strict equals to true to ensure that the progress isn't missed, because it will tell the progress, okay, this is a bug, this function is not yet implemented, so it will give a clear picture in your automation report. And periodically you need to review xfail tests to check if the issues has been resolved or not. If the issue has been resolved, then you need to remove this marker from here so that it should reflect the true state of the application and your automation. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. If you like our content, then do like, comment, share and subscribe our channel. Once again, thank you so much, and see you in the next tutorial. Hello everyone, and welcome to this Pytest tutorial series. In this particular tutorial, we will be learning about Pytest Fixtures, so let's begin. Pytest provides a feature called as Fixtures, and Fixtures are used to set up the test environments, and they are used to manage the test dependencies effectively. Now, features will allow you to reuse the setup and the tear down code. It will make your test more cleaner and more modular. Now the question here is that why we need to use the fixture. So basically it will share the same setup code across the multiple tests. It will isolate your test dependencies, Third, it will keep your test focused on the actual test logic. Okay, and let me go here and let me create a new Python file. Let me name it as test_fixture demo. And in order to use this fixture, this is really simple. Let's discuss about the entire syntax first, and then we will see an example over here. So in order to use this one, simply go with the @pytest.fixture. And once you have done this, now what you need to do is that you need to define a function. So function, then fixture name. For example, here you need to provide a name of the fixture, and after here, the first thing you need to provide is that you need to provide a setup code, and then you need to use a yield keyword, and after that basically you will be providing a tear down code. Okay, so this is a really simple syntax to use the fixtures. Now let's take a real-time example to understand this more. Okay, so now here what I will do is that I will give a proper name. So for example, you need to set up the environment. So for example, setup underscore, and you need to set up the environment over here. Okay, and so I will be going with some basic print statement, but in actual, for example, you need to set up a driver, or you need to initiate the browser, you need to open the website first. Maybe in the case of you need to log in before every test. So you need to provide some setup over here. In some cases, you might to connect with the database, right? So for that, you need to write that particular code over here in terms of setup. And similarly, for the tear down, what you need to do is that you need to close the browser, you need to disconnect the database, right? So these kind of a tear down setups you need to write after the yield over here. So right now, what I'm doing is I'm simply going with the print statement to make you understand. So I'm saying that setting environment, and after the yield, let me copy this from here and paste it over here, and here tearing down environment. Okay, tearing down environment. Now your fixture is ready. Okay, and this this setup will be executing. Okay, so now what I'll do is that I will be using this fixture in my test. Okay, so let me create my first test over here. So for example, test underscore example underscore action, and inside this I will be passing this function, which is setup underscore environment. Okay, in order to use this fixture. Now again, I'm going with simply a print statement with the f literal f strings. So I'm saying that executing my first test with fixture. Okay, and here what I'll do is that I will pass this just to make you understand what is exactly happening. So I will pass this here. Okay, so f literal, and so basically this course needs to be provided at the end. Okay, this way. Now what I did is that I simply created a function, test function, which is utilizing these fixtures over here. Okay, I can go with the assertions. If you are writing a proper test, you might need to go with the assertions. For example, I will say, okay, so in the yield I will say, okay, my environment is ready. Okay, so after setup I will say that, okay, environment is ready for testing. Okay, now what I do is that let's go with the assert over here, and I will say setup underscore environment is equals to, I will say environment is ready for testing. Okay, I'm just asserting this one. Okay, just to ensure that my environment is ready. So my first test is there, and let's go here and run this one and see what happens over here. So you see that the test got started, and here that tearing down the environment, setting up the environment, and in the middle of that they are actually executing my test. And now I need the same setup and same tear down for the another test. Okay, so I don't need to repeat the code. Okay, so simply I will go here and paste it here, and let me change the name to, for example, exam with double E. Okay, and here I will go with the, say, executing another test with the fixture. Okay, and again you can assert, let me go with a different kind of assertion over here. Simply I will say assert ready in setup underscore environment. Now let's run this one and see what happens now. So here you see that my both tests got executed successfully over here, and they are executing this, they are getting the setup first, then executing a test, then tearing down, then again you are seeing that it is setting up the environment, executing another test, and tearing down the environment. So this is the main purpose. So if I summarize this one, even if you need more information in a proper way, we already learned that how we can run this using the verbose. So let me show you. Simply I will say pytest, okay, and using verbose, and I will be using this particular test file. So dot backward slash, then we have Pytest tutorial series, and inside this basically we have this test. So the test is basically this one. So simply let's run this one again and see. Now we are getting a better picture of what exactly here is happening, right? So both tests got passed, okay, and it provided the information exactly what happening over here, right? So if I go here and if I try to fail any of this one and run this one and see, now you see that the test got failed over here. Okay, so you see that setting up the environment, executing another test, tearing down, and in case of failure we are getting this information over here. So if I summarize or tell you more about the fixtures, so fixtures have some scope. Right now what I did is that I am using the functions, right? So basically fixtures have a scope, okay, so we can control how often our fixture is executed using the scope parameter. Okay, so what I can do is that we can provide the fixture scope. Okay, for example here what I'll do is that I will say your scope is equals to, you can see that here we can define scope as a class, as a function, module, or session. So basically when exactly you need to run your fixtures, so you can run on the modular level. By default it's a function because I haven't provided any scope here. So by default you need to remember that by default it will consider function level. So fixture runs per test once if it is defined on the function level. You can also define it on the class level. So fixture runs per test class. Fixtures run once per test class. And if you define on the module level, so the fixture runs per test module, right? And if you want to go with a scope with a session, then fixture runs for entire test session. So depending on your scenarios, you can define the scope as function level, class level, module level, or the session level. Okay, and when we talk about the best practices for this one, so simply key fixtures focus. Each fixture should handle one specific setup task. Okay, it will be very easy to understand what these fixtures are doing. Then add doc strings to describe what each fixture does. So it make it more readable in terms of documenting the fixtures. Then use fixtures to eliminate the duplicate setup code. This is what we have done over here, right? And then you should use the appropriate scope. Right now we have just gone through the function, but as I said, you can go with the class module. You can define the scope of the fixtures as a class, module, or session, right? So you need to carefully use the appropriate scope to balance the performance and isolation of your test. So by leveraging the fixtures, you can write the cleaner, more maintainable test and effectively manage the test dependencies, and you can easily done the setup and tear down things across the multiple tests. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. If you like our content, then do like, comment, share and subscribe our channel. Once again, thank you so much and see you in the next tutorial. Hello everyone and welcome to this Pytest tutorial series. In this particular tutorial, we will be learning about parameterized fixtures. So let's begin. In our previous tutorial, we learned that what are the fixtures in Pytest. Now let's talk about the parameterized fixtures. Parameterized fixtures in Pytest provides a way to run the same test with the multiple set of data. Now by combining the power of fixtures and the parameters, you can make your test more flexible, modular and data driven. Now what is the syntax of using this parameterized fixture? So let me go here and let me copy this one from here and let me create one new Python file and let me name it as parameterized fixtures and paste it over here. So first thing is that we need to import the Pytest here, and here inside this one we need to provide the parameters. So for example, what you need to do is that you need to provide the parameters like params is equals to, and then you need to provide the parameters like parameter 1, 2 or 3, the number of parameters you need. Okay, and what else you need to do is that you need to provide a request and return the request dot param. So what it means that, for example, if I remove these lines of code and here, for example, you need to go with the request. Okay, and then what we'll do is that return, then we'll say request dot param. Okay, so it will return the parameters, right? So now let's take a real-time example here to understand how it works. So what I'll do is that inside this params, let me go with the different parameters. For example, I say okay, you need to run on the Chrome and then you need to run on Firefox, then I'll go with the Edge here. Okay, so I'm just providing a different parameters over here. Okay, and rest looks good to me, and just let me change the name over here. And for example, this is a browser, so I'll say browser. So now we have created this parameterized fixture. Now what we need to do is that we need to use this in our test. So what I will do is that let me create a test function over here. So def test underscore browser underscore launch, and inside this I will pass this browser fixture, and here I will simply go with the print statement and go with the assertion as well. Okay, so f strings, and here I will say running test on and space curly bracket browser, and here I will say assert, and inside this assert I will say assert browser in, and I will go with this complete array over here. Okay, complete list of parameters over here. Okay, and now we are good to go, and you see that the usage of this particular fixture is 3 because we have 3 parameters over here. If I add one more, for example, I will say my browser. Okay, so now the users will change to the 4. It will take some time to update, but now let's run this one. Let me remove this one and run this one and see what happens over here. Okay, let's run this one. Let me change this to current file and let me run this one. So you see that our test got executed and there are 3 tests passed, and here you see that it got executed on Chrome, Firefox and Edge. Now what I'll do is that let me add one more over here, just like my browser. And now if I run this one, so this time you see that one test got failed, 3 passed and out of the 4. Now because this particular test got executed with the 4 set of data, and when we are asserting with this one and this one is different, so that's why 3 passed and 1 failed. So here you see that the parameterized fixtures, Chrome, Firefox, Edge and my browser, and this one was passed because it got asserted successfully, but this was not in the assertion section and that's why it got failed, right? So, and we are getting all the information here why this particular assertion got failed. And in terms of execution, let me go here into terminal, and what we can do is that we can run this with the verbose to get more information about this particular test. And so inside this one we have parameterize fixtures.py, and let me run this one. So here we are getting more information here in terms of, because we are using the verbose now. So you see that pass failed and this assertion got failed, and why this failed running in my browser. Okay, this was a fail. So 1 fail and 3 pass over here. Now when we talk about this parameterized fixtures, so basically the best practices are that you should use the IDs parameter to make test output readable. Okay, then you can combine the fixtures. You can combine the fixtures as well, and when you're combining the fixtures, you can combine them wisely so that avoid overlay complex combination of the parameterized fixtures. Okay, this is the purpose over here. And then keep test focused. This is what we need to do. We need to ensure that each test verifies a specific functionality. So if I sum up this one, so parameterized fixtures provide a powerful way to run the same test logic against the various input, which will enable robust and scalable testing, which is a data-driven testing basically. So by leveraging this feature, you can make your test suite both comprehensive and maintainable. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. If you like our content, then do like, comment, share and subscribe our channel. Once again, thank you so much and see you in the next tutorial. Hello everyone and welcome to this Pytest tutorial series. In this particular tutorial, we will learn to execute our test in parallel using Xdist plugin. So let's begin. Pytest Xdist plugin is very much popular because it enables the parallel test execution across multiple CPU cores or even across machines. Now the question is that why we need to use this plugin. We need to use this one because it will significantly reduce the test execution time, especially for the large test suites. Now consider that you have a test suite containing thousands of test cases. Now if you don't use this plugin, your test will execute one after one, right? It will increase a time. But using this plugin, you will execute your test in parallel. Okay, so it will significantly reduce the time of your test script suite. Okay. So let me go to the browser, and here what you need to do is that you need to search for Pytest plugins, and this is the official documentation. Just click on this one, and here you will find a lot of very useful plugins for the Pytest, and simply Control F and search for Xdist, and here just go down. So this is the plugin. Okay, so this plugin for distributed testing, most importantly across multiple CPUs. Okay, and just click on this one, and this is the official page for this particular plugin. Now we need to use this pip command to install this into our project. Okay, so just copy this one and go to PyCharm over here, and in the terminal just go here and paste this one and press enter. So it will install this plugin into your project. Okay, now once the installation will be done, so let me go to the documentation over here. So click read the docs over here, and so here you see that running tests across multiple CPUs, running tests in a Python subprocess. So there are different ways. So we have already installed this one, right? And here are the key features. You can go through these ones over here. And in order to run with this one, the syntax is really simple, because you need to provide the number of threads or number of execution using -n, and then we need to provide the value. Okay, this is really simple to use. Now let me go back to PyCharm over here. Let me create one new Python file and let me name it as Xdist demo. And what I do is that I will create the 4 test cases, and we will see how we can execute them in the parallel. Okay, so let me create f test underscore 1, and I will go with the simple assert statements. Assert 1 plus 1 is equals to 2. So let me copy all of these and paste it over here. So third test case and the fourth test case. Let me change the names over here. So change it to 2, and then I will say 3, and this is our 4. And let me change some assertions in order to see the difference. So what I'll do is that instead of this, let's go with 2 into 2 is equals to 4, and then I will say like 3 minus 1 is equals to 2, and then assert 4 divided by 2 is equals to 2. So these are very simple test cases in nature, and what I'll do is that simply we need to import the Pytest over here. So I'll go here and import this one. Okay, so the Pytest has been imported over here, and you see the formatting. Just click on this formatting and everything will be gone over from here. Okay, now in order to run this one, so there are multiple ways. So simply what I do is that go with the current file and run this one. So here what happens is that the execution go one after one. Like your test case progress, you see that 25% of test case done, 50% of test case is done, 75% done, and 100% done. Here you might see that the execution was really fast, because here there were only 4 test cases. Assume that you have 1,000 of test cases, then in that case it will take a time. Okay, so now what I will do is that let me scroll this down, and now as we have already installed the plugin, so simply I will go to the terminal and I will execute this one. So simply what you need to do is that pytest, okay, dash n. So how many parallel executions I need? So for example, I'll say 2, okay, and here I need to provide the file which I need to execute. So inside this project, so this is basically Xdist. So I also need to change, let me rename this one. So I will say test, okay, so refactor this one, and here I will say test this one, right? And now if I enter this one, so there will be 2 parallel execution. You see that 2 workers are working in parallel. So here the execution time got significantly reduced because of the parallel execution. Now even what I will do is that I will say, okay, here instead of 2 I can go with the 4 here as well. If I press enter this one, so this time you see that 4 workers working, right? Now the 4 parallel execution happened in this case. So it will significantly reduce time when you are working with the large test suits. Now what happens if I give a number which is larger than the number of test cases? Okay, for example, I will say 6. Okay, and if I execute this one, then what happens? So simply it will say, okay, the 6 workers are working, but 4 items are collected, right? So in this way, you can run the parallel testing using this particular plugin. Now, the best practices says that you should choose the right number of workers to automatically determine the optimum number of workers based on your system CPU cores. So it's based on your system CPU cores. Okay. The second thing is that avoid shared resources or use synchronization mechanisms to handle concurrency. Third thing, isolate dependencies to avoid version conflicts. Okay. So these are the few tips, and this is really easy to use. Simply install the plugin, use -n and the number of workers you want, then it will execute the parallel test for you. Okay. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. If you like our content, then do like, comment, share and subscribe our channel. Once again, thank you so much and see you in the next tutorial. Hello everyone and welcome to this Pytest tutorial series. In this particular tutorial, we will learn to generate HTML reports. So let's begin. As an automation tester, you might be asked to submit the test execution report so that the management can see what is happening with the automation testing. How many test cases are passed, how many are failed, and how many are skipped. So they need to understand the quality of the application. They want to know what is happening with the different releases, right? So when you need to submit a report, the better option is to submit the HTML report. Now, why we need to submit the HTML report? Because they are visually better in order to understand the test result. Secondly, they are easy to share with your team members. And finally, it contains a detailed information, including the pass, fail, and skip test. So in order to generate the HTML report in the Pytest, what you need to do is that you need to use a plugin. For that, let me go to the browser over here and search for the Pytest plugins and simply click on Pytest plugin list over here and just search for HTML. And here, if you go down, so this is pytest-html. So this plugin is for generating the HTML reports. Okay, just click on this one and it will take us to this page. And this is how we can install this one. And if you go down, so you can see that we can get this kind of a screenshots or images to understand that, okay, now if you see that we get the proper information, what is getting failed, how many test cases got executed, where they got executed, right? So let's go back over here and let's install this one. So simply what you need to do is that pip install pytest-html, copy this one and just go to the PyCharm over here into the terminal, paste this command, press enter. So it will install the pytest-html plugin in your project. Now what I need to do is that I will go here and create a simple file. Let me name it as HTML. So what I will do here is that I will create some basic test and I'll show you that how this report will be generated. So what I'll do is that simply create very basic test. I'll say test underscore add and I'll say, for example, result is equals to 2 plus 3. Okay, and I will say print, then I'll say result is, and here what I need to do is that I will pass the f string, the variable result over here. Okay, and now I will simply go with the assert and say result result is equals to 5. So in this case, this test case will actually pass over here. Okay. And in a similar way, let me create one more test case over here, and I will name it as subsection. So instead, okay, let me go with 12 minus 2, which is basically 10. Okay, the result is 10 over here. And now let me create one more test just to see the failures. Okay, test underscore fail, and here I will say 12 multiplied by 2 is basically 24, and here it should fail. Okay, and what I'll do is that let me write some details so that we can see more details in the report. So 2 plus 3 equals 2. Result is 12 minus 2 equals 2, and result is 12 multiplied by 2 equals 2. Now, in order to run this one, what we need to do is that we need to provide an HTML argument in the command line. So that's really simple. What you need to do is that you need to type pytest, and here we need to provide the file which we need to execute. Okay, so the file I need to execute here is basically this html.py, and then after that I need to provide dash html equals to report.html, and that's it. And now just run this one and see what happens. So right now you see that we don't have any HTML report over here. So after executing this one, you see that one test got failed, 2 passed, and here you see that this report.html generated, and here we have the style. Basically it's a CSS file for the HTML one. And here what I'll do is that in order to open this HTML report, just right click on this one, and you need to go here, open in. So you have multiple options. You can open it in the Explorer, you can open into the browser, right? So if I go here into the browser, so you see that I have a built-in preview here as well. You can open in the Firefox, Edge. Okay, so let me open in the built-in preview first. So this is how this reports look like. You see that the Python version, the platform, the packages I'm using, okay, and the summary. Here you see that I can filter this one. Okay, this is the failed one, this is the error one, and these are the passed one. If I click on the passed one, you see what got passed. So this is a very useful HTML report which you can share with the stakeholders. And now in order to open into the browser, so simply go here again and open in the browser. Let's suppose I'm opening into Firefox. Now this is open into the Firefox. So this is how you can generate an HTML report using this Pytest HTML plugin. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. If you like our content, then do like, comment, share and subscribe our channel. Once again, thank you so much and see you in the next tutorial.